No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us on our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. With Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel, here to discuss a very disappointing and poor performance by the Winnipeg Jets, who go into Utah with the whole world right there in front of them, and they cannot muster up the appropriate effort level to win a game that would have done wonders for them, finishing first overall in the Central Division, instead dropping the contest to the Utah Hockey Clubbers. Dave, good evening. The Jets must have misread the calendar. It's next Saturday that it's Passover, where we eat unleavened bread. But yet tonight they came out as flat as a piece of matzah in their attempts to win the game against the Hockey Club.
Well, okay, so a few things. I've had a long day. It's been a lot of shows. You know, we did this. I said it's double game day, double IC day, but I am so sick and tired of calling them the Hockey Club, because I'm usually used to going the Jets versus so-and-so, and then I go Winnipeg and Utah, and it's like, it's enough already. Like, come up with a name and figure something out, because I'm tired of doing it. I'm a little crankified right now. I do want people to remember, though, I did say on this, not the Illegal Curve post-game show, but I feel like on a Saturday show, and if I had more time, I wasn't doing so much stuff today, I probably would have tried to pat myself on the back and gone and looked for it. But I did say that the Jets don't match up well against Utah. I've been saying that throughout the course of this season. I think Utah would be a tough opponent for the Jets. So, I was a little... It was a little bit of a disappointing game. I mean, a lot of a disappointing game given what Sidney Crosby chose to do. I mean, I was at Canada Life Center watching the Moose and the Wolves, which was a pretty good game. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, Dallas, I was watching it, Dallas were up 2-1. I'm like, okay, well, Dallas should beat Pittsburgh, and then they've got to travel and go to face the Wild tomorrow. So you're like, okay, well, maybe they'll be a little loosened up there. And sure enough, Pittsburgh comes up and picks up that big win, and Sidney Crosby gets the hat trick. So you're like, okay, the Jets and Stars tied in regulation wins. I didn't think it was a foregone conclusion, for the record, that the Jets were going to go into Utah and win the game, because like I said, I think Utah's a good team at home. By the way, as an aside, Drew, the fact that Vejmelka has played 20 straight games.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's incredible.
Is that not the craziest stat you've ever heard? Like, I honestly, I heard him on the broadcast. I mean, I'm trying to figure out who played 502 games in a row.
Glenn Hall.
Oh, it was Glenn Hall. Okay, I wasn't. Well, I didn't. Well, you'd think they would have qualified it. I didn't know. I mean, first of all, it seems fantastical, to be honest with you. I was just like, I actually thought it was a joke. I was like, 502 in a row. Like, that seems. I don't care if the level of fitness was different back then, and whatever. 502 is insane. But the fact of the matter is, playing 20 in a row in this day and age seems shocking, at least to me.
I agree. I mean, look, the part that's so, I think, disappointing to me from the Winnipeg Jets perspective. And I mean, again, we don't need to, overstate that this is, the degree or the significance of this loss. It's a missed opportunity for the Winnipeg Jets. And I think what's so troubling to me is they definitely knew what Pittsburgh did for them this afternoon. That game ended just before, probably at about 4:45 Winnipeg time. So every player in that Winnipeg Jets locker room was fully aware of the opportunity that was afforded to them by Dallas losing at home to Pittsburgh. And they responded with just a horrible performance in the first period. They got a little bit better as the game went on. So, I mean, I'll give them, credit for that, I guess. And, but once you're down 3-0 in any hockey game, to me, you don't get that much credit for then trying to play your game and trying to get back into it. I was surprised. I thought the Jets would have seen what Dallas did losing at home to the Penguins, and I thought the Jets would have been on their toes from the get-go, from the puck drop. And they certainly were not. They were on their heels for the majority of the first period, and we'll get into the goal-by-goal recap coming up here on the Illegal Curve post-game show. We'll get into all the nitty-gritty details, but to me, it was just the complete opposite of the kind of response that I thought we were going to see from the Winnipeg Jets, especially when you consider what happened between Dallas and Pittsburgh before puck drop this evening.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. It's that squandered opportunity, and I like Brad's comment, a well-deserved result for the Jets.
Yeah, they earned the loss, no question about it.
Yeah, and the special teams were the difference, and we've been talking about the penalty kill, and that proves to be twofold against them, that they make themselves pay because of penalty trouble, and as you said, Drew, we'll go through it on the game by game. But I look. There's no point in being hyperbolic. We didn't plan the parade when the Jets finally slayed the Dragon and beat the Vegas Golden Knights. You didn't do that when they beat a very good Carolina Hurricanes team 3-0, Eric Comrie. By the way, it's a good thing that the Jets have faith in their goaltender and are willing to let Connor Hellebuck play after Eric Comrie had a shutout in his last game.
I mean, I know what you're referencing John Abbott on the play-by-play, and John Abbott is the Flames play-by-play guy. And with all due respect, I think that Abbott's probably not a bad broadcaster, but him and Sam Cosentino, they had no chemistry.
Zero.
And I think that's been part of the problem with the Sportsnet, broadcasts for over the years, is that they just pluck two guys and throw them together and say, okay, you guys are going to be the broadcast duo. I mean, it's a shame we didn't get to see like Harnarayan Singh and John Garrett. They were doing, I'm not sure which game they were doing this evening. There were so many Canadian teams involved in games. They have some chemistry because like anything else, the more you work with somebody, the more you're used to their verbal tics, the way that they want to, broadcast. Cosentino and John Abbott were like two guys who were introduced to each other 5 minutes before the game started. So that, look, the broadcast, the Utah market is going to be a good one, but it's not a great place to watch a game from on television right now because it's not made for hockey, the arena they're playing at. Everything about the game, the presentation, the broadcast, just the game in general was what I would describe as sleepy at best.
Yeah, and again, my only reservation, as I tweeted, and I know you picked up on, was the fact that, like, if the Jets, and someone pointed out, he said, do we even know if TSN's going to have the Jets rights? When all is said and done, I can't remember, when does the Jets rights expire on TSN?
2026. So there's two more. I think it's 26 or 27. It's one of the 2 years. I'm pretty sure 26 after the 26th season.
Okay, so there you go. So one more year for sure of TSN. But anyways, my complaint is that you just listen to the guys who have very little insight, and it's kind of like, and it's hard because I of course I listen to our boy Paulie Edmonds, but to sync them up on TV and the radio, I know some folks do it, but anyways, I'm just gonna say that to me it's disappointing to listen to a broadcast where it's very little insight. And I know people will say like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I don't blame these guys. You just said it. He's a Flames guy. He covers the Flames. Right. So it's on Sportsnet to have I don't know. Like, to me, it's like, I get that Ottawa and Winnipeg are not big markets for them, and they're not their main markets because they're TSN regional broadcasts. But you would just think that they'd have a team that we got a Winnipeg broadcast. Like, you'd want to put on something of a good, and again, I'm not trying to, for the record, folks, I'm not trying to misdirect you and talk about something unrelated to the Jets. We'll get into the Jets, but it just bothered me watching the broadcast that I was listening to it. And I just thought, like, you want to listen to a broadcast and gain something. And I didn't feel that I didn't feel like there was any value to what I was listening to, any way, shape or form. And, again, we're used to talking to people in the market when, as I say, like when I'm doing Moose stuff, right? When I'm doing a Moose game, for example, I'm trying to bring insight. Like, I know most folks don't care about the team that Moose are playing. So I try and make sure I know, okay, like, this is who the market I'm trying to cover. And again, like I said, I didn't feel like we were getting that insight from these guys.
No, you weren't. I mean, look, it's not worth getting any deeper into it. It wasn't.
No, I don't think it just again.
Well, I mean, look, there's 5 games tonight. There's 5 games involving Canadian teams today. So, tonight or even today, because the Oilers played this afternoon. So
Yeah.
on a night when you have the Oilers playing, the Flames playing, the Senators playing, the Canucks playing, the Jets playing, the Canadians playing, and the Maple Leafs playing, you're going to have broadcast crews that are not your A broadcast crew. And
Sure.
that's just the reality of it.
And if it wasn't, and Shawnee Reynolds is busy chasing around following Ovechkin, so he's not even on the broadcast either.
Right. So, anyways, it was, but the game itself, I mean, again, the Jets just were flat from the get-go. They were not sharp. You see, I mean, you can't talk about the game without talking about the fact that Nikolai Ehlers was not in the Jets lineup, and his impact and his absence, I thought, was very noticeable. The Jets are, you take the top six forwards out of any team's lineup, they're not going to be as good as if those guys were in there. Now, they've played some good hockey, with Velarde out, namely, Thursday night in Las Vegas and some other games as well. But Ehlers' absence because he does things that nobody else on the team can do.
With speed, too.
The game-breaking speed always puts defenders on their heels. Not that the Jets are slow without him, but I thought you definitely noticed that the Jets had struggles at times in getting out of their own zone, where Ehlers sometimes is a one-man zone exit and a one-man zone entry. There were just too many instances in this game where I thought that Utah was the faster of the two teams. Utah is built on speed. They're a fast, quick, young team, and I thought that they made the Jets at times look a little bit slow. Not that because the Jets themselves didn't have their best skating legs going in tonight's contest.
Yeah, again, that's the biggest hesitation when you're playing a team like Utah. And look, they're not prepared to, I think it was just before, I don't remember which of our guests today, I think maybe it was Jacob, but one of the things I said on the show this morning, you can listen to it, of course, download the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 2 hours of great Jets and Moose insight, some prospect talk as well. But one of the things I said was, like, Utah doesn't think that they're dead, and we can declare them dead, and everybody can say that it's over. But the reality is, and I liked the quote from the coach, because he said something to the effect of, well, you know what, look, he can golf in April. Yeah. We're not going to be worried about burning him out now, because we need to try and do something. And to their credit, they were able to do something. They were able to take down a Jets team. And I'm not in the Jets' heads. I can't say if the Jets were in cruise control. They thought, hey, you know what? We Dallas just gave us a little bit of a breather, because if Dallas wins, of course, it's a completely, Captain Obvious, very different conversation. And so instead, and by the way, how many folks are happy that St. Louis has a limited amount of runway? I think the Colorado Avalanche do, because
St. Louis beat the Avs today in this
night. And they're only 5 points back of Colorado. I don't think they're going to catch them with 4 games left.
Right.
And but 12 wins in a row is simply insane. And isn't that a reason alone, Drew, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, because I don't think Minnesota is going to catch them now that they're 4 points back. Mm-hmm. But again, this is a Utah club now 7 back of Minnesota. So they're done. They're not really done, but I like the fact that their coach doesn't want them to give up, doesn't want them to quit. And these guys are playing for each other. And so why not play the role of spoiler? They knew the score too. They knew that the Winnipeg Jets needed to get this game to really kind of secure the Central and try and have a good shot. I mean, again, you would have been able to have a 3-point cushion on, because this would have given them 110 points, correct?
The Jets, if they had won, yes, it would have given them 110.
So they'd have a 3-point lead on Washington for the President's Cup as well. President's Trophy, sorry. President's Cup. That's a different
that's
golf.
That's golf.
But anyways, I'm just saying that I like what JC's saying. Hockey's inexpensive, quality local content. Well, we're not inexpensive, JC. We cost a little bit of money, but we are. If we're the death knell, fine, then bring it on, baby. But the fact, sorry, Drew, I like to let the chat sidetrack me.
Focus, Ginsburg. Focus.
I was gonna say, well, it's true. Corey May, I do not love golf, but that's a side conversation for another time and place. Anyway, so I just think that you couldn't take this team lightly, and you knew that Utah was going to play to their identity, which you started this conversation with, talking about how fast they are. And they've got talent. They've got some very good players. Like, was it Keller who got to 500 points tonight? So, I mean, he had a goal and an assist.
Yeah,
they've got a lot of
talent.
Yeah, they've got a lot of talent. And again, that was one of the and remember, they're only going to get younger and more talented in the sense that I believe when they left Arizona, they had 4,000 draft picks because they've been the repository of every terrible contract that anybody wanted to trade. So they have a lot of draft picks, or they did, I should say, previously. And they've got some nice pieces. So, I mean, we'll see what they end up becoming. We thought that they would take a step forward. I didn't think they were going to be a playoff team. I thought they'd be close to the pack. I didn't think they'd be in the mix. But so they're kind of what I was expecting from them at the beginning of the year, Drew. But again, I like the fact that they've got a lot of talent, and they showed some gumption today, and they punched the Jets right in the face, and the Jets did not have a good enough response.
They certainly did not. Let's get into the recap of tonight's game. We do it goal by goal on each and every episode of the Illegal Curve post-game show.
The Play Now game recap.
Sign up for Play Now and get a casino welcome bonus up to $150. Play Now is Manitoba's local, legal, and secure gambling site and the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. The Utah Hockey Clubbers opened the scoring at the 4:24 mark of the first period. It's a power play goal. Dylan Sandberg is in the box for tripping. It takes the Utahns on all of 7 seconds to get the opening goal. The Jets actually win the faceoff. That's to the right of Connor Hellebuck. The puck goes in behind the net, at which point in time Alex Iafallo is trying to get it out. He ends up losing a board battle there to Dylan Guenther. And it's Dylan Guenther who is able to then put it onto the stick of Barrett Hayden, and Hayden passes it over to Keller in the slot all alone. The Jets are heavily tilted to the right side of the ice after the Iafallo play and after the face-off win, and it leaves Clayton Keller all alone in the slot. He makes no mistake, beating Connor Hellebuck, his 26th of the year. Hellebuck on this one looks a little awkward. He's not square to Keller for the shot. I don't know if they were speculating in the first intermission that he didn't get the push off the right goal post as much as he wanted so that he would be in a better position, but he was deep in his own crease and sort of playing it awkwardly. So real comedy of errors for the Winnipeg Jets on this opening goal. And Utah has that early 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to see Logan Stanley fire that puck as soon as Adam Lowry wins. I know he doesn't have a ton of space, but you gotta think like first instinct is to try and rim it around the boards as fast as you can. Again, like I said, he wasn't going to be able to take a step because he would have had too much pressure. But I thought he had time to get that puck and at least try and get it as far out as possible. He doesn't, and the problem is you got to realize like you're out man. There's not an advantage to you. So even if you get it to Iafallo, it's probably not going to be a clean play. And then, unfortunately for the Jets, they're like you said, that Drew, that Utah's challenges them right away, and Stanley is left alone in no man's land. Tries to help behind the net, forgets the fact that wait a second, that means the front of the net is wide open, and sure enough, it's a 1-0 game. So yeah, that was
I know what you're saying about Stanley. I have to think that that's a set play.
I'm sure it is
for him to try and bank it off of to get it over to Iafallo there. That's as designed. And then the truth is Guenther just makes a better play. Iafallo's on his backhand here, so it's certainly not an easy play for him. And Guenther seals the board really well. That's exactly what he does. Iafallo's trying to chip it past Guenther and put it onto the stick of DeMello in the corner, but Guenther seals it off. It comes back out to Barrett Hayden, and then Hayden slides it over to Clayton Keller. So, I mean, as much as it is, I think the Jets had the right execution in mind. They obviously didn't execute it well enough, but kudos to the hockey club and Dylan Guenther for making the right play to seal it off and prevent Iafallo from getting it over to Dylan DeMello on this play.
If I have to listen, you call them the hockey club
Well, what do you
after
want
this
me to
season.
call them? I can't call them the Soakers. Apparently, that's not allowed. So, I mean, I got what I got. I call them the HC. What I got? I need a name for them.
No. It's all good. I'm just saying. You didn't let me finish. I was gonna say after the season, if they don't pick up a name, because I heard their whatever their previous, but just hearing you call them like continuously, I'm like, this is just too annoying. Yeah, I mean, it's just we've talked about it. The PK is one of the areas of, again, special teams has been an area of concern, right? We talk about, I thought the PK had been doing better, but as you illustrated the last time I made that point, it'd been okay, but it'd been kind of where they had been for a while, which was 14th overall in the NHL. And the power play we know has definitely taken a downturn. And we obviously know that they got a power play goal in this game. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that these special teams, again, I understand that playoff hockey is different, but you want to have it a little bit more. That's the area of concern for me, is that their special teams aren't finesse. And again, I say that statement knowing that you don't have Nikolai Ehlers, you don't have Gabriel Velarde, so that's 2/5 of your number one unit, and that you're missing Neil Pionk, who is 1/5 of your second power play unit and obviously plays a lot of the game. So I will make that statement with the understanding that those guys are out. But at the same time, like I said, this is it's just a tough way for the game to start, because it was just, I mean, what was it? Just 4:24 into the first period, and kind of set a tone.
Right.
And not to suggest that in any way, shape, or form that the Jets were suddenly going to be like incapable. To be honest with you, even when it was 3-0, I thought if the Jets got an early goal, which they obviously did, I didn't think this game was out of reach.
Well,
and
if Scheifele puts it at the backhand over Vejmelka after the Jets made it 3-1, then the last 15 minutes of this game are a lot more interesting, than they were.
Right. But at the same time, we've been using Vejmelka's name for since the Arizona days, where he's put up some impressive performances against the Winnipeg Jets. So, yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing that the PK is an area of concern. And it doesn't help when your best PKer is in the penalty box.
No question. Jets get out of the first period down 1-0 thanks to Connor Hellebuck, who made at least 2 or 3 big saves in the rest of that first period to keep it at that 1-0 margin, because it certainly could have been a lot worse. The Jets did get a power play opportunity 30 seconds after Utah had opened the scoring. Kevin Stenlund took a holding penalty. The Jets were not able to capitalize on that, and the first period ended with the score 1-0 for Utah. We did get to see for a brief period of time, starting in that period, a trio of Connor, Scheifele, and Perfetti. They ended up playing 6.5 minutes at 5-on-5 together as a line. The numbers were good for them. 65% was their Corsi for, expected goals percentage of 66%. So, an interesting option for Scott Arniel that we haven't really seen this year that I can think of. Certainly not for any significant period of time. It was only 6.5 minutes today. And of course, the Jets hope that Nikolai Ehlers will be back in the lineup and healthy to go for Monday against St. Louis. But it was interesting to see Connor, Scheifele, and Perfetti, and that they had some pretty good success and had some pretty good chemistry, the three of them all together.
Yeah, I don't want to glaze over the first period, Drew, in the sense that this game, unlike the LA game, where the Jets made mistakes, and the most egregious of the period by my mind was that Vlad Nemestikov passed in the neutral zone, who handcuffed, I don't remember which forward he was passing it to. Maybe, I don't remember who it was. I won't even suggest the name because I don't recall exactly, but it just handcuffs them. And then the Utah Hockey Club, as you like to say, goes back the other way. And Connor Hellebuck made, 2-3 saves throughout the course of that period, which were like, okay, well, that's what they weren't getting from him in the game against LA, where they would make a mistake and he'd bail them out normally. Didn't do that in LA, but tonight, especially in that first period, he certainly did.
Yeah, no question about it. Connor Hellebuck was the best Winnipeg Jet on the ice in that first period, which probably tells you a lot about how this game went for the Winnipeg Jets at the same time, although Hellebuck usually is the best Jet player on the ice. 2-0 for Utah, 57 seconds into the second period. Again, a power play goal. So Mark Scheifele takes that holding penalty late in the first period, an offensive zone holding penalty where he takes down Sean Dursey, and the Utah make the Jets pay. Barrett Hayden, his 19th of the year, assisted Dylan Gunther and Clayton Keller and that gives the Utah Hockey Club the 2-0 lead early in the second period. This comes shortly after an Adam Lowry 2-on-1 shorthanded opportunity where Lowry was what I'll describe as indecisive, I think would be the best way you can use to decide. He was very patient, but almost too patient, and didn't end up getting what I would say was a good scoring opportunity away. Had they capitalized on that 2-on-1, that certainly would have changed the tenor. Instead, Utah moves it back up the ice. They set up their power play. They move the puck well. They get some seams through the Winnipeg Jets, and then there's a bit of a goalmouth scramble off of the Gunther. Gunther's the one who puts it into the blue paint, and then Barrett Hayden is able to deposit it past Connor Hellebuck to give Utah the 2-0 lead.
Yeah, and here's another example, Drew, of the puck briefly being on a Jet stick. Luke Shen has that puck in front of him. Mm-hmm. And, now he was not in nearly, there's a lot more traffic where he is in terms of, trying to get a clean clear. So he's unable to do that. And you're right. I mean, this is just good, quick. I mean, this is kind of what we've seen from the Jets power play. It's quick. It was real quick. And, again, you don't often see Dylan Sandberg out of position, and, he's allowing someone in behind him. And it's what are you going to do? I mean, this is tic-tac-toe. It's a beautiful sequence from Utah. But it's defended poorly by Winnipeg. And so, like I said, Luke Shen had the puck on his stick, kind of an ineffective clear to the blue line, doesn't get it out, and then they go to work. And like I said, when Dylan Sandberg doesn't have body positioning, which isn't often, you're playing catch up. And, anytime that happens when you're already at a disadvantage, well, it's going to get exacerbated. And so what ends up happening is they move it quickly, which has been the hallmark of Winnipeg. And suddenly now you're down 2-0.
Yeah, it's exactly right. The Jets were just still at this point in the game. They put together a couple of shifts, but it wasn't sustained. It wasn't shift after shift. There were no handoff shifts. They just never really felt that they put Utah on their heels in the course of tonight's game. And that's certainly what you need to do with a young team like Utah. To your point, they know they're not going to make the playoffs, but they still want to play spoiler, and they're not mathematically eliminated. So it's no wonder that they were ready to go for tonight's contest, whereas the Winnipeg Jets were not ready to go, and that they really didn't begin to find their skating legs, I would say, until late in the second period and then the third period. But it was too little too late at that point in time, and it was too little too late because Kevin Stenlund, the old Winnipeg Jets player, he's having a hell of a year. 13 goals now he's up to for Utah, and he really looks, fits in well there, playing in that fourth line center role. Kevin Stenlund gets his 13th of the year, assist to Mikhail Sergachev and John Marino, and he just beats Connor Hellebuck clean. Yeah. And, he beats him clean, blocker side. It's not where you see Connor Hellebuck get beat very often. It's not something you expect to see happen, but it does. And the Jets are now down 3-0. But again, seconds before this, when the Jets had their power play opportunity in the second period, they come very close. Mark Scheifele hits a post. Cole Perfetti had a good opportunity. The Jets came close to cutting the lead to 2-1. Instead, Stenlund beats Hellebuck clean, and it's a 3-0 game, after 40 minutes.
This is the proverbial backbreaker, Drew, because
a goal that Connor Hellebuck, the Jets have been down 2-0 plenty of times, but that's usually where Hellebuck becomes the brick wall and doesn't let that third goal in.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming the first line on this play, but it's not the best dump in by Mark Scheifele. It's not deep, so Utah cuts it off about halfway, and then the first line is slowly getting off. And I suspect that they thought they had more time. They didn't. So again, credit Utah, right? They get a quick transition, real nice pass by Sergachev. It recognizes that Stenlund's there. And I don't know in what world this goal beats Connor Hellebuck, really, other than, I guess, on Earth, because it's in this world.
It was a nice shot by Stenlund.
Oh, it was a nice shot. It's true. It's a nice shot, but I mean,
makes the save.
How often do you ever see Connor Hellebuck get beat by a shot of that nature? You don't.
Not very often.
You don't. So anyways, it's unusual, but that is one where, especially because I believe how much time was left in the period. There was just over 3 minutes to go, 3:03 to go in the period.
Yeah.
So, 2-0 into the third, you're like, all right, as you just said, the Jets have been down before. Utah is a good team. again, like I said, they play them well, but they're not, undefeated in the last 30 games. Like they can.
Not the St. Louis Blues.
No, exactly. So again, I'm not trying to diminish the shot by Kevin Stenlund. I thought it was a great shot. I'm just saying, to me, Connor Hellebuck, it's more about Connor Hellebuck not making the save than it is about Kevin Stenlund's shot. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no problem with that assessment. And 3-0 for Utah. I mean, that's, and
Well,
we're not.
Drew, by the way, if your shirt says optimistic, and one of our chatters,
It's a Viking shirt.
I know it's a Viking shirt, but anytime Drew's wearing purple, it's about the Vikings. But I was gonna say, maybe to take some optimism here, maybe the Jets were trying to make next Thursday's game against Dallas so interesting and so much watch TV that everyone is going to flock to Boston Pizza on Taylor for the IC watch party. Maybe that's why the Jets were doing us a favor by trying to make it must-watch TV, because they were cruising. Maybe people would be like, yeah, do we really want to go see Ezzy and Drew and Dave? Maybe not. But now, gotta kind of come out to Boston Pizza on Taylor and hang out with us on Thursday night.
That's right. The Illegal Curve watch party and live on location post-game show this coming Thursday for the Jets and the Dallas Stars. It's obviously going to be a massive game. You all know about the playoff implications that game is going to have. The Jets are next in action on Monday. Dallas has 2 games. They play tomorrow in Minnesota and Tuesday at home to the Vancouver Canucks, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. Conceivably, depending on the results of games Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, the Jets and the Stars could be tied for first in the Central Division entering Thursday's game. So, obviously big things afoot, and you'll want to be there at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue on Thursday night for the Jets and the Stars, the Illegal Curve watch party, the Illegal Curve live on location post-game show. So we're looking forward to that coming up on Thursday night. Third period begins. If the Jets are going to forge a comeback, they're going to have to get an early one. And to their credit, they do. Oli Mata is in the penalty box for hooking. The hooking penalty comes at the 154 mark. And Mark Scheifele at 2:45. So a minute or so, little less than a minute into the power play. Mark Scheifele, his 38th goal of the season, his 800th point as a member of the Winnipeg Jets. So it's a milestone goal. It's a milestone point for Mark Scheifele. You saw it look like, I think it was Cole Perfetti, or it looked like maybe it was Al Iafallo. I saw a 9. I don't know if there was a 1 next to it.
I think it was Perfetti. I thought it was Perfetti.
Who dug the puck out of the net after not one save. So a couple of good chances for the Jets. Perfetti had a good chance there. I think it was Kyle Connor who also had a good chance. And then the rebound eventually gets kicked out to Mark Scheifele. He's got a wide open net to shoot at, and he makes no mistake. Yeah, Connor had the first chance. Perfetti had the second chance. Scheifele into the empty net. But it actually, the only reason the Jets are able to get this goal is because Perfetti and Morrissey win a board battle right up at near the blue line. The Jets keep it in, and then they break down the defensive coverage for Utah, and Scheifele gets the milestone goal, which I'm sure he will appreciate at some point in his career. But I think for now, it probably sticks in his craw a little bit of a hollow milestone for the Jets number 55. But to add another milestone to this milestone, this goal is also our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Now, did you need Doug to remind you, Drew, or did you remind yourself?
No, I didn't. Did Doug say that I needed to do?
No. Doug was just saying that was the Seagram's 83 shot of the game for his 800th point. So I just wasn't sure if you guys were, thinking along the same lines, or he needed to kind of just give you that little bump in the memory bank.
I appreciate every time anybody gives me a little bump in the memory box, because that helps me out, because I oftentimes forget the most obvious things. But no, this time I remembered on my own that I needed to do the Seagram shot of the game, and it goes to Mark Scheifele. It would have gone to Kevin Stenlund if the Jets ended up being shut out. But in any event, Scheifele gets it on this goal to make it 3-1 for Utah. You like the fact that the power play succeeds. You like the fact that that the Jets win that board battle, that Perfetti wins another board battle. Good for him there. But in a game with not a lot to like, I guess this is one of the few a few moments that the Jets will appreciate and will want to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, Drew, I think it's always important to keep stuff within context. And, a game, a win and a loss, especially, in the context of the totality, I should say, of the season is important to remember that, these things are able, you can park them, again, you discuss them like we do after every show, and then you move on. So, I'm not sitting here going, oh my God, this Jet team is done. They're done. They can't beat Utah. Obviously, again, just to be clear, Colorado lost today. Dallas lost today. So, I mean,
it was Central Division loss day. St. Louis didn't lose.
St. Louis is like a freak, right? They just don't lose, but everybody else decided to lose. So I'm just saying that good teams lose. I think.
But what's Nashville doing? That's the real question.
Well, I think did Boston beat Carolina today 4-0?
Carolina, Buffalo beat Tampa. So it was bad teams win games day around the NHL apparently.
Well, and the Rangers lost again, which is I'm happy with because I don't care for the Rangers, but good for the. And then I actually looked for a second. I'm like, oh, did the Sharks beat the Kraken? But they're currently losing. So even
are up 2-0. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So even the real bad teams are still the real bad teams. But anyways, I digress. This is I mean, it's a nice milestone for Mark Scheifele. He's got the most points now. Well, he already had the most points for Jets 2.0. First player, I should say, to become an 800-point man in the second iteration of this team. He still, of course, trails Thomas Steen by 17 points, which is a number he'll eclipse next year. And then he will have to wait probably 2 seasons before he eclipses Dale Howardchuk's 929, I believe, is the number for Ducky. So still a ways to go for that. But at the same time, I mean, it is, like you said, Drew, it's not something he's going to be real pleased about and something he's going to want to talk about. I'm sure they asked him about it in the post game, but ultimately at the end of the day, when one of these things comes in a loss, it's nice. It's a memory. And as you said, Cole Perfetti grabs the puck, but it's not particularly good given the context of today's game. And like I said, you don't make it bigger than it needs to be. But at the same time, if you win this game and you have a 6-point advantage of Dallas, you're not mathematically locked into that first spot. I can only imagine what the money puck percentages would have been if they beat, if they won and Dallas lost today. Mm-hmm. I would imagine it would have been in the 80s, I would think, for them to clinch, if not higher, Drew.
Yeah, I would think you're right. I mean, the odds for the Jets to finish first in the division are still at 78%. So they're still in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course, we know how significant Thursday's game against Dallas is going to be. The next 2 games for the Jets, and to the Jets' credit, they have, when they've been playing their big time opponents, they've been responding. Obviously we know the game against Dallas a few weeks ago, the game against, Washington, not that they're a rival, but, everyone knows that game, the game against Vegas. So the Jets now have back-to-back games, Monday at home against St. Louis and Thursday against Dallas, where they really, these are opportunities for them to take a stranglehold on the Central Division, regardless of what Dallas does tomorrow against Minnesota and then Tuesday against Vancouver. The Jets should really only focus on the next 2 games and taking care of their own business, and then they should be in a good position. And then if things don't go well on Monday or Thursday, well, then the last 3 games against Chicago, Edmonton, and Anaheim are certainly going to be of significance. But time will tell on that front. The Jets did almost cut it to 3-2. Mark Scheifele, as I mentioned, it was a nice passing play between Scheifele and Connor and Perfetti when they became a unit in that third period as well. But Karel Vejmelka is up to the challenge. He blocks. He uses his pad to prevent Scheifele from getting a goal to make it 3-2. And then with the net empty and 2 minutes and 41 seconds to play on the clock, Nick Bjugstad hits the empty net, his 6th of the year assist to Kevin Stenlund and Oli Mata, and they go home happy in Salt Lake City tonight with a 4-1 victory, the Hockey Clubbers over the Jets of Winnipeg.
And the only thing I would add, because, I mean, look, it was a bold goalie pull, Drew, with I think it was about 4 minutes to go. Vicious is saying Dallas will win the Central. We will play Colorado. Well, if that's the way it is, Vicious, then that's the way it is. I mean, at the end of the day, the Jets will have home ice against Colorado. And again, like I said, the point is, though, there's no point. I appreciate the comment. We appreciate the donation. But at the same time, you have to remember, like, it's let's put it this way. I think it's premature, and Vicious derailed my thought, but I think it's premature because remember the person who commented about Eric Comrie, in Vegas, and I posted it, of course, on our Instagram. I didn't post their name because I didn't want to embarrass anyone, but the comment itself was Eric Comrie starting. We've lost.
Right.
Like, there's no point in creating that sort of narrative because at the same time, like, again, the Jets are still ahead, right? Like, it's not like the Jets are even with Dallas and, they could be 2 points up. The Jets still have a 4-point lead. So it's worth kind of being calm. And as Drew says, we'll be back here on Monday. I'll have, again, if the Jets practice tomorrow, I don't know if they're practicing or not. If they're practicing, I'll have coverage of.
I'd be surprised. It seems like it would be. It
would
be an off day, right?
It in the group chat. Well, right now they're scheduled to practice at 12:00.
Oh, okay.
But in the Jets media group chat, we're still trying to figure out if that's the case or not. We don't know yet. But there is a practice scheduled, so we'll see if they hold to it or if they don't. But regardless, we'll have coverage tomorrow. We'll have coverage on Monday. The sun will come up tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. And I forgot my original thought, Drew. If you happen to remember it, I don't remember it, but Vicious.
I don't know where the hell you were going with that.
I don't remember where I was going either, but I had a good point. But Vicious derailed me with my.
I'll tell you where we can go. We can go to break and then come back and wrap up the tonight's contest, and you can give a little bit of an update about what happened between the Moose and the Chicago Wolves in downtown Winnipeg as well. So a little recap of the Moose coming up. Much more of the Illegal Curve post-game show coming up. It's presented by Play Now. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you on a Saturday night. Don't go anywhere. More of the show to come after these commercial messages.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk with you on a Saturday night talking about the Jets' disappointing 4-1 defeat at the hands of the Utah Hockey Club. Did you remember your point?
Well, I didn't remember. I actually went back and watched I rewound our show on YouTube so I could watch to see what I was saying. And what I was going to say, Drew.
Yes.
Thank you, Vicious, for derailing it. But the only thing I was going to add was the Jets did not play that pulled goalie situation particularly well. That's what I started to talk about, because they pulled Hellebuck with about 3-4 minutes to go in the game, trying to get within one. And then of course they'd probably keep him back in there for another minute or two and then see if they could get that equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all on the perimeter. The only guy who was at the interior was Cole Perfetti. Again, we're crediting him. I like the way he's been playing. We talked about him on this morning show, but just there were 3 guys at the blue line and 3 guys. There was Scheifele on one side, Connor was on the other, and Perfetti was in front of the net. So to me, or no, maybe it was Lowry, but the point is that, like, it's just not enough guys who are the big bodies, like the Niederreiters, the Iafallos, the Lowrys, who you need in front of Vemelka to take away his eyes. So again, Cole Perfetti's got great hands, but really he's not the guy I want in front of the net if you're trying to create some chaos. So I didn't love their the way they kind of close things out, because look, it's a 3-1 game. They score there's a chance, but they don't. And instead it's an academic conversation.
It is an academic conversation. Of course, the big news will be the health of Nikolai Ehlers moving forward. We will either find out tomorrow if there's, a skate, or probably Monday, more likely, with what his status will be. It doesn't sound like, I wouldn't expect it to be anything too long-term, but he was a game-time decision for tonight. And you wonder if the Jets held him off more for precautionary than anything else, or if he still wasn't able to go tonight against Utah.
One thing we did learn on the broadcast, I will say, is that they did say that he skated this morning. I thought it was unusual, actually, because the Jets didn't post any media availability with, you talked about how there was that 11:15 media availability, Drew.
Yeah.
Well, I did check periodically. I saw they posted something with Cole Perfetti, but it was almost like Scott Arniel didn't speak today, which I thought is a bit unusual, but I suspect he spoke. But one thing we did learn, like I said, not from Arniel, but from the broadcast, was that Ehlers apparently skated in street clothes, in sweats apparently, but skating nonetheless. So again, I think that being cautious is the right move with Nikolai Ehlers. There's no point. This, again, game's important. Obviously, its importance grew when Dallas lost, but you're still not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize him. You want him to be healthy for the playoffs. We saw how important it is to not have him in the lineup. So
yeah. So Scott Arniel didn't speak, or we don't believe he spoke this morning. He did speak after the game about the Utah power play goals. Quote, "First one, we win the face-off when we don't get the puck down the ice. Next one, it's a seam play, double seam pass that usually we have numbers and bodies there," said head coach Scott Arniel. Continuing on, it's been trending the right way, that being the PK. Just those are 2 big goals that we probably don't give up normally. So that is what Scott Arniel had to say about the first 2 Utah goals in tonight's contest. That courtesy of Jamie Thomas's 3 Things article on the Winnipeg Jets website. So that's, want to give credit to where I got that quote from, regarding Scott Arniel. For those wondering when the Winnipeg Jets, when could the Jets possibly clinch the first place in the Central Division, the earliest opportunity for them to do that would be after Thursday's game against the Dallas Stars. Any combination of 9 points, either gained by the Jets or lost by the Stars, is the magic number for the Winnipeg Jets. So if the Jets were to win on Monday against St. Louis and then Dallas on Thursday, which would also mean that Dallas has lost to Minnesota tomorrow and Vancouver on Tuesday, that would put the Jets, after the Thursday game, that would put the Jets 8 points up on the Dallas Stars, and the Stars would only have 3 games remaining, same as the Jets themselves. So Thursday, win out for the week for the Jets, and if the Stars were to lose out, then the Jets could clinch as early as Thursday. Conversely, though, if the Jets were to struggle on Monday against the hottest team in the NHL, the St. Louis Blues, and then lose to the Dallas Stars on Thursday, well, Dallas could be tied or ahead of the Winnipeg Jets based on tiebreakers as early as Thursday. So lots can happen over the next let's say 72 or 96 hours. And
hey, the Stars could lose both games and then beat the Jets on Thursday. And if the Jets beat St. Louis, I mean, there's so many different things that could happen.
Seems more than likely it's going to come down to the wire. The Jets, of course, have that back-to-back next Saturday, Sunday. Saturday night at Chicago. And
that's a tough game.
And then home to McDavid and the Oilers on
Sunday. I wouldn't say McDavid.
The Oilers.
Or-
We'll see if
Yeah,
McDavid's
we don't know
there
if
or not.
McDavid's there. We don't know if Draisaitl's there. We don't know
Right.
if Skinner's there. We don't know who's going to be there.
Right. Well, we'll be there. That's that much we know that. And of
Nice.
course, the fine gentleman who won the tickets from us and Play Now is going to be at that game next Sunday.
Isn't that Dave
between
Funk?
the Jets. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't think of his name off the top of my head, but there you go. So
Pretty sure.
that's something to look forward to next week as well. Of course, illegalcurve.com will have all of the coverage that you need all week long with regard to the Winnipeg Jets. We remind you that we're going to be at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue on Thursday night, and we want you to join us there for the Illegal Curve watch party, for the Illegal Curve post-game show. It's going to be a rockin' house at Boston Pizza on Thursday night, so you should be there as well. Jets 4-1. They lose to Utah tonight. In case you missed any of this show,
What's going on here? Did you have a brain?
Yeah, I
situation
forgot
there?
the Moose. You got the Moose to talk about. I just realized
I'm sitting there going, I'm like, boy, Drew's seems to be doing his little end of show thing, but not. You know
What
why?
on your
Hey,
What on your
hey.
Stop pressing it.
Okay, fine.
What on your antlers? It's time for the Minute Moose Minute on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
I'm like, come on, Drew. I know you don't want to do a long one.
Sorry.
Won't do a long one, but the Moose in action. 50. I mean, most people in Winnipeg know what happened because either they follow me on social media or they were one of the over 5,500 people at Canada Life Center, including 4 people sitting in the IC seat in the illegal curve zone. And they were treated to a great start by the Winnipeg Jets. The Manitoba Moose,
Yeah.
who put together, I was going to say, the Winnipeg Jets 2022 draft line. Fabian Wagner, 6th rounder, Danny Zhilkin, the 3rd rounder, and Brad Lambert, the 1st rounder. So 2022, and of course, Elias Salamonson, the 2nd rounder. At one point, all 4 of them were on the ice together. So the 2022 draft class was well represented in this game, and they actually looked really good together. It was the first time that trio had been playing together. Moose, excellent start in this hockey game. Isaac Phillips, he deposits a great pass by Dominic Toninato, the captain, of course, of the Moose, into the back of the net. So that made it a 1-0 game, just 3:47 into the first. Elias Salamonson, the one I mentioned just recently, he gets his 20th assist of the season. Eric Dubois, the Moose assistant coach, had some very interesting comments to me after the game about Elias Salamonson and his game. I will be posting those on it's already on our YouTube channel, but it'll be on my social media soon when I get a chance to break it up. And then just 32 seconds later, Brad Lambert, I mentioned him. He picks up his 6th goal of the season. Nice little tap in. Dylan Anhorn, who wears Declan Chisholm's old number 47 and looks like he's just as good a skater. He made a real nice play on the pass from Danny Zhilkin, 2-0, and the Moose are cruising. Team on. Well, it didn't last long, but they had a real good first period. Got into some penalty trouble, which has been a symptom of theirs of late. The team honored CJ Cease, of course, the 2014 5th rounder of the Winnipeg Jets, who was with the Jets, and then, of course, with the Moose, signed with the San Jose organization, came back to Manitoba, signing a 2-year deal, and he played his 300th game in Antlers this evening, and or I should say, this afternoon, and they honored him for that. He becomes the first 2.0 Moose player to play 300 games in Antlers. So nice guy, CJ, of course, from nearby Minnesota. And then the Moose would end the period up 2-0. Simon Lundmark, the 2020 2nd rounder, he takes a puck to the face. So he had to get, actually, interestingly, had to get patched up, and he also had to pass a concussion test because he got that puck to the head. Drew, as good as the Moose started the game, they did not start the second period particularly well. They got outshot 11-0.
Oh,
And they were down 3-2. They gave up 2, speaking of power play, and their power play had been penalty kill, had been really good. I think they killed either 8 straight or 11 straight coming into tonight's game. And then they gave up 2 early in the second, and then they gave 1 up at even strength. But the first shot registered for the Moose came 11:42. There was a Brad Lambert shot. And I will say, like I said, Lambert and Zhilkin looked really good in this game. Wagner had a couple of real nice moves as well. So the Moose were down 3-2 after 40, and things weren't looking good, especially when they had 2 men in the box for a 5-on-3. Thomas Milic, he was pretty good in the net, and he kept them in, and they managed to kill off the 5-on-3. And then just as it ended, Dominic Toninato, the captain, gets a breakaway, blocks a shot, gets a breakaway, doesn't score, but the aforementioned CJ Cease in his 300th game, he puts home the rebound, so ties the game, sends it to overtime. kind of an interesting. The calls were whatever you want to call them. Fabian Wagner, he had a beautiful chant, as I mentioned on one of the previous shows, Drew. His family is in Winnipeg for the first time from Sweden, seeing him play this week for the first time in the AHL. And he had a really good chance in overtime. Doesn't get it to go. Dustin Tokarski makes a real nice save. And like I said, they took a penalty, and the Wolves took it 4-3 in overtime, but a pretty good game. And they'll be back in action tomorrow at 2:00 in a rematch. Again, only 3 home games left. We've only got 2 tickets for that game. We've already given away 2.
Right.
So if anybody else wants to go to that game, you are welcome to contact me, dave@illegalcurve.com. And or you can just send me a message on social media, and I will hook you up with some tickets. And the other thing that's worth mentioning, Drew, because it's a final now in the OHL, Kevin He and his Niagara Ice Hogs, or Ice Dogs, sorry. The Ice Hogs. The Ice Hogs are in Rockford.
Yeah.
But the Ice Dogs are in Niagara. And then the worst part is, Drew, one of them hyphenates the I think Ice Dogs, the D is hyphenated. I mean, the D is capitalized. Yeah. And in Ice Hogs, the H is not capitalized. So
it's one word. It's like
it's Ice. Yeah,
it's one word.
Yeah, it's very weird. It doesn't ring true, but that's the way they spell it. I always balk at writing it, but I'm like, that's the way they got it. So I'll be consistent.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Kevin He, the 2024 4th rounder, he is now available to be assigned to the Moose. So potentially we see him join the team sometime this week, would be able to practice and then make his pro debut on Friday night. So remember, if you want to go to that game, I'm not saying he's in. We haven't heard anything yet, but that's a possibility. And if he is, then you might want to be able to go to those games. Send me an email Friday night. We got tickets to that one. And maybe Kieran Walton as well, his best friend and fellow 2024 draft classman, 6th rounder, of course. He too could be on his way to Manitoba. So stay tuned to illegalcurve.com. We'll have all the latest on that.
There you go. Prospects talk, Moose talk, Jets talk. It's all available on illegalcurve.com. And it's all free for you on illegalcurve.com, just like this show is free for you to watch as well. All we ask you to do is to, of course, support our fine sponsors, because they make this show, they make the Saturday show, they make the website a possibility. Those are our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Play Now, Holt Dental, Boston Pizza, City Place, and Seagram. Support all those fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. We also need you to smash the like button, to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to turn your notifications on, and to tell your friends and family that the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game, and again on Saturday mornings, is the Illegal Curve YouTube channel. If you missed any of this show, if you missed any of the Saturday morning show, you can check it out. It's available on the instant replay. The podcast is available for download as well. So go get your grubby little hands on all that good IC content. And then we'll be back on Monday night for another edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. That is going to be right around 9:15 p.m. because it's a 6:30 puck drop. It's an Amazon Prime game on Monday. So it's a 6:30 puck drop on Amazon Prime. So you can tune in to watch the Jets and the Blues, and then you can tune in to watch yours truly, Dave Manouk and Ezra Ginsburg, talk about it later on after the game ends on Monday night. Until then, we encourage you to have a great weekend. Be safe with whatever you do. Be responsible with whatever you do. And, of course, keep it locked to illegalcurve.com. For Dave Manouk, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you again on Monday. Until then, we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow @IllegalCurve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.